Hello and welcome back from the season break. We're on round 30 of the TRR 2020 Championship tonight with the GT2s at Fern Bay Black. This is Sim Broadcasts, and tonight in your ears will be me, Peter Butcher, and Thilo Falkenberg. Jack will be joining us slightly later on. Hi, Thilo.
Good evening, everybody out there.
So yeah, what have we got tonight? We've got Fern Bay Black in the restricted GT2 class. Qualifying coming up in just a few moments' time. Before then, we will quickly run down the championship order as it currently stands after the mid-season break. So in the Drivers' Championship, we have a very interesting picture, which I will try and bring up for you in just a few moments' time. However, it looks like qualifying is underway already, so we'll jump there instead. Tino, take us away for the start of qualifying.
So all the cars are on track now, it seems. Big long outlap here, Fern Bay Black, the longest S1 track there is. First cars are through the first chicane. First car on track, it's Team America's Vinsu.
So I have the team standings for you now, the drivers' standings. Jan Wikowski currently leading the way with Nico Patola in second place. Then it's Gavin Peat, Rick Cardle, Jari Katila, Michael Malek, Trespasser, then Magic, Pekka Koivunen for World Class Lines, Chris McElroy for TC Racing, Tom Salmonen and Joni Katila round out the top 12. Timu Soini for World Class Lines, Anton Ahlers for TRR, David Godds for TRR, Frank for TRR, Pedro Picanco for Roda Preza, Teo Jose, Gabor for Sidus, Adam Brown for TC Racing, Ayub for Born to Race, Walter Lemons for Teamwork Racing, then it's Ronnie Krompus for Race Green, and Palios Petrauskas in P24. Let's fire up the team standings. Teamwork Racing leading the way with 4,332 points. Then it's Yes Motorsports, World Class Lions, Race Green Autosports, Master Race Car, Road Appraiser Racing Team, TC Racing, Born to Race, Sidus, NRT, then it's Energy Virtual Racing, Conquest Racing, Global Gaming Racing, Ixion, Team Bandicoot, Savage Sim Sports, Red Devil Street Racing, then it's the Linux Force, Nordic Racing Group, No Control Esports Team, Nauka Factory, Gum Garage, DK and Teo Motorsports rounding out the Teams Championship currently after 29 rounds, today being the 30th of a 44 race championship. And yeah, we've got an exciting combo for you tonight as the drivers make their way around this very long outlap with only a 15 or 16 minute qualifying session. They are not going to have a lot of laps, so you'll see the drivers starting to bunch up as they try and sort themselves out before they start their flying laps.
The 45 of Vinsu is the first car to take the long lap for the timed lap. Through the chicane, now into the double left, into the double right. And onto the bridge they go. As I said, the longest track in S1. Braking now for the hairpin on the bridge into the Fern Bay Green section.
So we're about to see the first times coming in. Got the number 42 of Kid on your screen right now. Yeah, Thilo, already 4 minutes gone of the session and we're about to see our first times. We expect the lap times to be inside or outside the 2 minutes, so it is a really, really long lap. Majority of the field tonight using the FXR, the four-wheel drive GT car. seems to be the crowd favourite right now. So here comes Kidd onto the start-finish straight. And he begins his flying lap, I expect.
Yeah, indeed he does.
Yeah, really long lap, so Kidd's probably only going to get a couple of attempts. A really healthy field here tonight. Seems like a lot of the drivers have come back after the pre-season, after the mid-season break, which is nice to see. We did have a bit of a lull in activity towards the end of the first half, but it seems like people needed a break, and we've got a good strong field here today, as Vinzu is the first car across the line with a 2:24.57. So yeah, well outside the 2 minutes lap time here today. Maunakasa with a great lap there, a 22.02. That'll be a tricky one to beat.
And it is interesting to see some drivers choose to stay out and do another lap. Probably they are already on the race setup. And others decide to jump back into the pit lane, telepit to get a fresh car for a second attempt. And probably they are going to get a third attempt. But for those who decided to use that strategy for qualifying, 3 seems to be the maximum. Unless they bail early on an attempt.
Indeed. Well, there's currently a 1.3 second gap at the head of the field between the number 89 at Maunakasa and Sidus's Rick Cardle, which is huge. But over a 2.5 minute lap, it is. It's not as big as at certain other tracks we've been to this season already. Let's see if anybody can close that gap or indeed take over the front of the qualifying table. It's going to be a tricky job. Maunakasa is no slouch.
Pedro Picanco, by the way, in 4th position, currently the best non-FXR in an XRR, so he stays in the Bagheera car, so to speak. And in 6th position, Reject for Born to Race, also not in an FXR but in an FZR.
Plenty of drivers clouting the tyres through the first chicane there. Looks like it's quite busy in the first sector of the lap. On such a long lap, there is really no excuse for tripping over other people, so hopefully these guys find enough room. Quite a big spread of times, as you'd expect on a longer track, and Fern Bay is a really tricky circuit with some big curbs, some tricky corners where you can lose a lot of time. So it's not really surprising that we've got a big spread, but yeah, hopefully we get a close fight for the pole position. That gap is still 1.3 seconds between Maunakasa and Sidus's Rick Cardle.
But still, we have not seen drivers like Yoni Katia, like Nico Pantola setting a lap time. Also, the ban is not on the tally right now.
Yeah,
Japan currently on his first fast lap, currently crossing the start-finish line in green, in Fern Bay green, so about 1 minute into the lap. He was lucky there that the tire stacks despawned right in front of him when he went through the green chicane.
We ride on board with Reject, who's had to navigate a fair bit of traffic on this lap as he comes round to set what will be his second timed lap. And it looks like he is building up for another fast lap, so
yeah, he is currently on his out lap.
Yeah.
hitting the final chicane, and now on he goes. So through the first part of the lap.
It's a great section, this. It's slightly more manageable in the GT2s, obviously, because you've got less power than you would otherwise have. The corners come at you a little bit slower than they would, and you've got plenty of grip with those massive slick tyres and that big rear wing. Here he goes then over the second split line in his FZR. Absolutely smashes the chicane, but that was committed, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really smooth through there. Often a pinch point, that chicane. You can get it wrong quite easily, especially on the exit, but that was nicely done by Reject. Currently 9th, so a good position. I wonder whether we'll see an improvement here. In the meantime, Ricciardo has closed the gap to Mauna Casa, but the gap's still over 1 second between first and second place. Behind there, Japan very, very close. Only 0.07 of a second separates Sidus and Team Racing drivers. But look at the spread of the field. The top 20 covered by just under 5 seconds, so quite big margins here. The GT2s do take a lot of skill and practice, and over such a long lap the track really does sort the people who've done practice from the people who haven't. Here comes Reject then. Sorry, Thilo.
Just wanted to confirm what you said.
Over the curves we go, and Reject comes across the start-finish line. Will he make an improvement? He does. Nice lap, 6th place, 1.65 off the provisional pole time set by Mauna Casa, who himself is on a lap, I believe, Thilo.
Yeah, but just to update, Japan now into 3rd position to 23.15. Mauna Casa now starting his lap. And by the way, someone who we still miss on the scoreboard is Unite for Yes Motorsports.
Yeah, thinking back to the weekend in the Bagheera Zuramana GT Cup, it took him quite a while to get a time on the board. But when he did, it was a good one, so hopefully Nico can get a lap together. As Mauna Casa completely flat through the first set of corners onto the bridge section, absolutely committed in that FXR. As he heads down to the heavy braking zone at the end of the bridge, brakes down to 2nd gear, nice and tight on the exit. He's coming up against a bit of traffic. I wonder whether that traffic is going to move out of the way.
It's Upsa, so I
does.
think he's going. Yeah, he goes to the side. Absolutely flat through the green chicane.
Amazing commitment there from Mauna Casa. And now into the middle section of the lap.
Yeah, through this Singapore-style chicane.
Yeah, the one they got rid of at Singapore.
Yep.
Wow, he's so late on the brakes, he manages to get it down the gears perfectly and hooks up his line. A little bit of a tap of the curb, it sometimes unsettles the car, but no such problems for Mauna Casa. Just a couple of corners to go, but it's very easy to throw the car away in this double left-hander. Slight lift, presses it all the way to the outside, nicely done. And then we come under the underpass. One of only 2 tracks in LFS with a bridge. And then here we go, final chicane for Maunakassa. Will he improve? He's already got an absolutely blistering lap time. Will he be able to get into the 21s? He wouldn't still be driving around if he didn't think he could. Across the line he comes. A 21.9. What a lap.
So he's
1.16 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. 28 times on the board. Maunakassa ahead of Ricciardo. Still. Japan looking to get in amongst that. Road Appraiser's Pedro is just outside the top 3. Needs to find just over 0.2 of a second.
Gavin Pete across the line into 7th.
Nice lap by him. Looks like he's going again, so he must feel as though he's got enough in the tyres for another lap. Unless he's just doing a bit of practice.
Nearly up.
Yeah. So yeah, very quick session.
Scuttle comes to the line. No improvement.
Yeah, Scuttle down in 24th place with a 2:26.86. Nearly 5 seconds off pole. I mean, that just shows you how hard Maunakassa's pushing with these margins.
Yarikatia improves into 12th position. Next car to cross the line is his teammate Pekka Koivunen, who is completely losing the car in the gold section.
Yeah, that's not gonna be an improvement, is it? He's in the wall. Pedro, we believe, is the final car. However, it does appear as though he's using the wrong restriction. Oh, he's on the right restriction now. Okay, so the previous lap he set was on the wrong restriction, so I assume if he doesn't improve, he might be put to the back of the grid at the start. I'm not sure, but anyway, we'll see.
Mega comes to the line. A 25.8 improves into 21st position. Next cars to cross the line are Unite, who is on his first flying lap, and he is losing the car, so that's going. Oh, and he crashes.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get that on this stream, but yeah.
Yeah, he crashed with Team America's Visnu.
Oh no, so Nico Pantola starting at the back of the grid, one of the front runners in the championship. That's a disaster.
He's now coming back around the track to at least appear on the scoreboard.
Yeah, his teammates have done pretty well. But yeah, it looks like Unite is going to be very much in last place at this point.
26th position for Nico Pantola.
Wow, so not even last. That's an achievement. Pedro's just entering the final set of corners. Obviously, we're unsure as to whether he's actually going to qualify in that position, and he runs wide. That lap's not going to be an improvement for the Brazilian driver. So yeah, his fate's sealed. But a nice healthy grid for the start of race 1. It looks like we're going to have 29 drivers, or maybe slightly more if some cars didn't qualify. They will start at the back. Expecting roughly 20-minute races tonight, 15 to 20 minutes, 8 laps each. 2 8-lap races. The first goes off the order of qualifying, the second goes off of the reverse grid. Results of the first race. Joni Cotillo with a flying lap there. He manages to separate Maunakassa and Ricciardo, slotting onto the first row of the grid there for Joni Cotillo. But what a margin.
1.01 seconds still between those two.
Yeah, that is incredible, the gap at the front there between our pole sitter Maunakassa, who takes pole for the first race of round 30 of the TRR 2020 Championship. Superb effort there.
So, pole position for Manukasa. Second is World Class Lines Yannick Kitia. Third position, Team Siders with Rick Cardle. Fourth position, Japan for Team Rock Racing. In fifth position and row 3, it's Roda Praser's Pedro, followed by Yes Motorsports Trespasser. Row 4, Team Rock Racing's Gavin Pete and Born to Race Reject. Row 9, Roda Praser Sabot and Race Green Autosports Mandula. Row 11, row 6, Yes Motorsports Upsas and Jari Katia. 13th position is Bohr, followed by Born to Race Ayub. Then in 15th position, Team America's Vinsu, who had this coming together on his final attempt with Yes Motorsports Unite. In 16th position, World Class Lines Pekka Koivunen, followed by Texas for Team Rock Racing, Redwood for Race Green Autosports. In 19th position, it's Michael for Master Race Cars, followed by Sim Jintas, then Master Race Cars Mega. In 22nd position, Kit, followed by Race Green's Magic, Born to Race, Twin and Skettle in 24th and 5th. 26th position for Car 22. It's Master Race Cars Shams. In 27th position, Timo Soini for World Class Lions, followed by Yes Motorsports Unite, and in 29th position, World Class Lions Boss.
Thanks for that, Thilo. We have the start coming up very, very shortly, in around about 1 minute's time. And we may have to manually grid the race because of certain drivers using the incorrect restrictions and various things like that. So there might be a slight delay to the start of the race, but we will keep you posted on that. If you're wondering what's coming up in the Team Rock Racing 2020 Championship, next week we have the return of West Hill in the Championship. West Hill International reversed for 2 13-lap races in the F08, which is an absolutely brilliant combo. If you fancy getting involved in that, then you can still sign up for the TRR 2020 Championship on the Live for Speed forum in the Team Rock Racing Championship subsection. We'd love to have you along to boost the grid sizes here. Just bear with us here while we find out what's happening. We'll take a quick break here and we'll be back for the start as soon as they're ready to go. Welcome back. So yeah, that was a pretty quick break. The grid is now set and we are very, very nearly ready to go for the start of race 1. An 8-lap race of Fern Bay 4, Fern Bay Black in the GT2s. Thilo, do you want to take us away for the start?
So the chat is closed. We're waiting for the lights to go red. Manu Kasa in pole position in front of Yoni Katia and Rick Cardle. Just 2 red lights. First is red, second is red, and we're green for Fern Bay. Manu Kasa with the better start. Rick Cardle side by side with Yoni Katia. Rick Cardle seems to... No, he doesn't get the momentum out of the corner, so Yoni Katia stays in second position. Behind them, Trespasser. Jaban with a few meters lost.
Yeah, Yoni Katila managing to hold the pack up quite a lot through the first part. As Ricardo runs very wide there, he's probably going to be under pressure from Trespasser onto the back straight. He is. Manukasa with an absolutely brilliant start, way off in the lead, and it's all go at the back. We've got 2 cars abreast. Ayub going side by side with Pekka Koivunen. Trespasser all over the back of Ricardo as we head down this middle straight. Into the commentary box we have Jack Eyre joining us for this crazy start. Hi Jack.
Hi gents. Some carnage going off from 25th position down. We've got a master race car duo of Michael and Shams involved in that, as well as Soini for World Class Lions, all struggling out of turn 6 for the first time around. Pedro's involved in this too.
Yeah, Pedro demoted way down the grid for using the incorrect restriction on his fastest lap in qualifying. That's why Pedro is out of position and way down the order as Jaban makes a move around the outside of Mandula there. These two squabbling in quite a heated battle. Mandula with a traction advantage in that FXR, trying it around the outside. He'll be on the inside for this next corner, but can't quite make it stick.
It just seems to go from bad to worse for World Class Lions. Boz, unfortunately, got caught out of turn number 10. He finds himself down in 30th position. So World Class Lions from Yoni Katila in second place all the way down in P25, 29 and 30.
Mandula, what a move there. Oh, he's side by side and almost... Oh, that's unfortunate. He had a great run there and unfortunately just clipped the curb. And that's sent him and...
that's Jaban on the inside
Jaban
of turn
around,
19,
yeah.
facing the wrong way. They rejoin in 20th and 21st, respectively.
Well, that's a disaster. Out in the lead with a heck of an advantage over World Class Lions Yoni Katila, it's Mauna Kasa in his red FXR. Then it's Yoni Katila in his FZR following suit. So really impressive for Yoni being the only one of the only FZRs on the track in P2 right now. Then it's Rick Cardle, who's under somewhat of a little bit of pressure from Trespasser in 4th place, the S Motorsports driver. Trying to get as many points out of this race as he can to secure his place at the top of the championship. Kid now looking all over the back of Sim Jintas. 2 FXRs going at it. Kid driving the Vodafone grey and red FXR. There won't be a move on into the chicane, will there? No, he thinks better of it just as well. And Sim Jintas absolutely clatters through the tyres there. Now he's side by side with Race Green's Redbot, and he makes the move.
I just wanted to say, brilliant chicane for Sim Jintas.
Pedro is out of the race. He crashed at the chicane and is out of the race, so the chicane claims another victim.
Magic was overtaken by Unite. Unite's now up
Got
in
a car
15th.
off ahead of these guys. Is that Simjintas? It is. Simjintas dropping down the order after that great lap where we saw him overtake 2 cars in the middle of the lap.
Rick Cardle out of the race. Not sure what have happened there, but he
That's
decided
disaster.
to quit.
Yeah, well, it must have been somewhere in the last sector of the lap because Trespasser's now been promoted to P3 and Gavin Peat to P4.
So the top 10 is pretty far stretched out.
Looks like we've got a potential battle on for P17 at the moment. Born to Race Scattle and Race Screens Mandula. Getting all sorts of up close and personal through turn 5 now as we make our way onto the bridge, and there's a huge crash up ahead.
That's Unite.
You can see plenty of cars involved, and Mandula choosing not to lift out of that. Huge damage there to quite a few vehicles.
That's one of the Born to Race cars on its roof. Is that Scattle? No. Is that Twit? No. Can't work out who that is. It was Scattle. Scattle with absolutely huge left side damage. That car will be... Yeah, that car will be making its way back to the pits, or just trying to poodle around the next 5 laps. Looks like Mandula's car is also heavily damaged. Look at that. Looks like it's been on its roof or had a car on its roof.
I think he launched someone up into the air, and that could have been Scattle, as I saw Scattle flying over the bridge.
Meanwhile, up front, Maunakasa will be completely unaware of all the goings on, as he has plenty of fresh air between him and world-class Lions Johnny Catilla. And the podium currently rounded out by Yes Motorsports Trespasser. And Gavin Peat trying to close down that gap as well.
We do have a battle for 7th position, as Reject is now at the back of Vinsu. Or was, until he went through the final chicane in the gold section.
Yeah, Reject was around about just over 2 tenths faster than Vintu last lap. So the gap is coming down. It was 0.54 at the start finish line.
Michael off at the what we call the swamp section, and makes his way back onto the track down in P25, so something went wrong for him as he launches his car over the curbs and for some reason heads down the pit lane. Not sure what's going on there. Got a couple of cars in the pits. Don't tend to see cars going down the pit lane during a sprint race, but there we go. One of the cars who was unlucky on the bridge section, didn't look like he yielded that much, but now has heavy front right damage, is Simjintas in P15, being caught by Yari Catilla. Both of these cars with very similar damage, actually. Both on the right side, so potentially from the same incident that happened the lap previous on the bridge. Such is the nature of Fern Bay Black, the cars being strung out quite a lot.
Keep an eye on the battle for P14 as well. Simjintas still trying to get around that race green car. 2 wheels massively on the inside there of turn number 8. Did well to rescue the car, get it back under control, and attempt to re-attack that number 27 race green Autosport car. Heading now into turn number 11. A tricky, almost off-camber right-hander, especially if you hit that inside curb. But you can keep an eye on Yes Motorsports Unite just behind in P16, because he's looking all over the back of that FXR. Sends it up the inside before we turn into the left-hander. That is turn number 13, round the unnamed right-hander, and again through the left-hander of 14. crossing the split 3 line just as we get towards the end of the bridge before the sharp 90-degree right-hander of turn 15. And Yes Motorsport Unite, after looking pretty behind Simgintas, has taken the position.
There's been
away
a
from
change for P2. We missed it, but coming out of the last corner, it looks like Joni Katila's had a shocker, and Trespass made it up to P2.
Yeah, Joni Katila looked like he lost about 9/10 of a second there, just in the last sector last time around. So very fresh that overtake is. Keep an eye on them through sector 1. At least last time around, Trespasser was faster through sector 1, 2, and 3 than Joni Katila.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of time. It's going to be tricky to catch up to the back of that FXR in the 4 laps, this and 3 laps remaining that we have, as Joni Katila gets it all out of shape on the end of the bridge and nearly clatters the inside wall. He would have lost a chunk more time there. And will he be under pressure from Gavin Peat at some point? It looks like he will. Gavin is there, but not quite yet. I mean, if Joni keeps going like this, then maybe Gavin Peat might have a sniff at a podium here.
Yeah, and because of that incident that Joni had at the inside of turn 6 there on this lap with the inside of the barrier there, he's lost well over a second already on this lap. So 1.2 seconds faster is Gavin Peat, at least in sector 1 this time around. But the gap is about 2.7 seconds. Meanwhile, out in the race lead, Maunakasa still setting purple sectors. Maunakasa currently the fastest sector holder in all 4 splits on the lap, including the fastest lap as well, of course.
We're riding on board inside Mandula's heavily crushed car, and he's looking all over the back of Jaban. Although Jaban may have just got past him. Not quite sure. But let's ride on board with Mandula and see what he can do as he follows the rear wing of that FZR of the Team Racing driver. Mandula with the tighter line. Jaban running quite wide, hits the wall, and Mandula's going to have a run here. Can he hold it around the outside? Yes, he can. Nice move. In a very damaged car.
Yeah, and of course, should they remain side by side, the next corner coming up was, of course, the long double left-hander of 16 and 17. So Mandula up into P12 now.
This is where these guys crashed on the opening lap,
remember? Look how
remember?
much more speed Jaban was able to carry through that right-hander of 18. Right on the back of Mandula is Jaban now for Team Rock Racing.
Final chicane.
And see how they clatter the inside of that left-hander and then miss the curb on the right-hand side. Try and maximise the speed across the line. Moves later on the brakes into turn number 1. It looks as though Jaban is able to close that gap. Of course, the car's gaps will come down in the slower speed corners. They will look visually closer together, but apart from Mandula carrying a bit more confidence through that turn 2 chicane, it looks as though Jaban had the legs on him in the latter stages of the lap last time around.
Yeah, Jaban taking a lot of curb through the first chicane, getting in the air, but there we see Mandula dropping a wheel on the grass, gravel. That's going to give Jaban a little bit of a run down into the braking zone, and then there's a long drag up towards the middle section of the lap. Here we go. Jaban in the rear-wheel drive SZR with a great exit versus Mandula's four-wheel drive, and got the pinch point of the chicane, but can Jaban get this move done? He's thinking about it. This is going to be brave. He backs out of it.
Yeah, definitely brave to make a move there under racing conditions, of course. Turn 7 is flat in qualifying, as we saw Maunakasa carrying the most amount of speed possible through that section in qualifying. Very, very brave to run side by side under racing conditions there. There really is only one line through turn number 7, but you can see now Jaban, after backing off through turn 7, through 8, 9 and 10 now as we approach turn 11, you can see that gap's come up quite a bit.
Yeah, Mandula, if he can just keep that car on the road and pointing in the right direction, he should open that gap up, no problem. Next on his plate will be Kidd. Meanwhile, we have a battle between Unite and Redbot. Unite moving around the outside into the start of the last sector. Ooh, bit of contact there and forces Redbot onto the gravel. And yeah, Unite drops back a little bit there and seems to be suffering with a bit of a dodgy connection.
Yeah.
That's not going to be what Redbot wants to see.
Very careful. Hopefully his connection stabilises. Redbot ran slightly wide out of turn 15 and lost out on the apex of 16. Redbot just behind the FZR of Unite at the moment through the right-hander of turn 18 for the 6th time.
By the way, those connection issues were also present when Unite had the accident in qualifying.
Right. It's not normal to see him with such a poor connection, but yeah. Now that he's got past, it seems to have stabilised somewhat.
His internet can't cope with too many cars on track around him.
Maybe. Manacasa on the penultimate lap, he's got the track all to himself. He's got an absolutely enormous gap over Yes Motorsports Trespasser, and it does look like Joni Katila has kind of maintained the gap a little bit to Trespasser, but not able to catch after losing the place on lap 3 or 4. Gavin Peet also, similar deal, hasn't really managed to close down the gap to the front. Probably preying on a mistake now from Joni Katila.
Manacasa, though, out in the lead, is still absolutely on it. This time around, fastest in split 1 and 2, and these are race best splits as well. Currently the only person that holds the fastest split, the Manacasa, before he retook it, because he's purple in every split so far this lap, so potential fastest lap as well, was Joni Katila down in P number 3. Currently he's rounding the right-hander of turn 15. But Manacasa's on an absolute mission. He's got the gap up to just shy of 7 seconds now in just 7 laps.
Got a car on the roof. Sim Jintas has rolled it, sorry, and is in a pretty dodgy spot. He's going to have to get that car off of the track, and he does. Sorry, back to you, Thilo.
Mandula is now at the back of Kit, so the 42 battling with the 43. As Manacasa sets the fastest lap.
He was purple in all 3 of the 4 splits, just missed out by about a 10th in split 4, but enough to take the fastest lap again.
Mandula's now in a red car sandwich. Japan at the back, Mandula in the middle, and Kid at the front. This is the battle for 11th place. As we head towards the first chicane, Kid will lead them through. Nicely done.
Oh, Kid is one of the few drivers who brakes for the right-handed king.
Japan got it all wrong. He was following the 2 cars ahead. He's not happy with himself. The 2 cars in front punching a hole in the air. Mandula looking for the gap as Japan runs very deep.
Yeah, incredibly late on the brakes. Just arrived as Mandula and Kid were turning in for a potential late apex.
But I'm interested in Mandula's brake settings because he was braking down so fast for the corner. Oh, Kid runs wide.
Kid runs wide. Luckily, the car's 4-wheel drive. He will have kept his foot planted and retains 11th position now as we move through left-hander of turn number 8. But look, Mandula potentially trying to look around the outside as we approach the old chicane. He has the run though. He's going to be put on the outside. Of course, the next corner coming up is the right-hander. And he make it work though. They both brake at similar times, but Kid with the optimum line retains 11th position. But look at Jaban in the background. Keep an eye on this man. He's catching right up to the back of Mandula, and there could be a move on now as we approach turn number 13. Very close, but Mandula runs wide and they run side by side through the right-hander between 13 and 14. And Team Racing's Jaban has so far taken away.
Is crossing the line for the win.
Oh wow, we were so focused on the battle. Well done to Manacasa there for a stunning lights to flag lead there. Trespasser in P2. Interested to see what happens with the battle for between Mandula and Jaban. As Yoni Katila comes across the line in P3, Gavin Peak not quite able to close that gap down in the end. Then it's Trespasser's teammates Upsas and Gabor in P5 and 6. Vinzu P7, Reject P8, Pekka Koivunen of World Class Lines P9. Then it's Ayub and Kid will get the better of Jaban and Mandula as they cross the line in 11th,
Mandula
12th and 13th.
Suffering with quite a bit of damage when it comes to the dampers on all four corners of the cars. Of course, the curbs here are pretty high, and you have to hit them quite aggressively in order to be fast. Luckily, the race is only 8 laps though, and quite hot tyres as well for Mandula, who ultimately finished in P13.
Yeah, then it's Unite in P14, Red Bot for Race Green in P15, Yari Katila P16, Race Green's Magic, not a great race for him, down in P17, Born to Race Twin in P18, Timu Soini P19, and Sabot rounds out the top 20. Mega for Master Race Car across the line in P21. And we've just got the last few drivers coming across the line now. That's Shams and Team Rock Racing's Rocky 7-Up.
Yeah, and Team Rock Racing's Texas, currently in 24th, coming around the last couple of corners. And Boss is upside down. He won't finish the race. He's on the entry to the bridge and did not finish.
Texas P24 and Master Race Cars Michael P25. So I assume 25 finishes then. So yeah, quite an entertaining first lap, and a big incident on the bridge which pretty much strung the field out quite a lot, but it didn't stop Mandula from having a go with his very damaged FXR to get in the mix with Jaban and Kid. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off in the end. Mandula had to settle for P13, but let's not take anything away from the man at the front. Marinakasa, stunning race, stunning pace as well. And unlucky for Yoni Katila, whatever happened to him at the final chicane, wasn't able to keep P2. Trespasser takes over that position, having started the race further down. There'll be a short break now before the reverse grid start for race number 2. The same deal, 8 laps, but Maunakasa will have around about 25 or so cars ahead of him, and that's going to be a pretty uncomfortable sight for him as he has to navigate through all those guys within 8 laps in order to score maximum points. That'll be tricky. Let's see how it goes. We're going to play the highlights of the last round of the Open Endurance Cup, and we'll be back in just a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the 30th round of the Team Racing 2020 Championship. Those were the highlights of the last round of the Open Endurance Cup. You can find more details about that on the Live for Speed forum if you wish to take part in that series. So, gents, what are we looking forward to for the start of race number 2? Obviously, Maunakasa with his work cut out. A lot of work to do for him.
Yeah, you really took the words out of my mouth. I want to see what he can do from as far back as he's going to start. Of course, he was, improving on lap times right until the very, very end of that race. 3 of his fastest 4 splits were set on lap 7, along with the fastest lap of the race on lap 7 too. So, yeah, he certainly comes alive in the closing stages of the race and keeps pushing even when he doesn't necessarily need to, having such a large gap in race 1. So, yeah, it's definitely curious to see what Maunakasa can do in race number 2.
Absolutely. And the start of that race is coming up very shortly. A further 8 laps of this fantastic track at Fern Bay in Live for Speed. Here we go then. Born to Race Scattle at the front for the start of race 2. Looking mighty fine in that blue and black Born to Race livery.
Yeah, especially with a car that is complete. And we're green. Great start by Michael.
Yeah, excellent start by Michael. He'll be poking his nose ahead before we get to turn number 1. Let's see if everyone's cleanly into turn number 1. Michael does take the lead. Scattle to motor. We've got a car off at the back. Not
That's
sure who that is.
Mandula. Trespasser and Maunakasa are also involved in a little bit of a check-up through turn number 1, but the majority of the field through cleanly.
So far. And now Maunakasa is going to need to find all the gaps that he can and try and weave his way through.
He's side by side with Tim Gintas at the moment, trying to get past Gavin Pete and Yoni Katia, who are both side by side. Yoni Katia onto the grass now. Rejoins, no contact made. As Vince is very wide, there's almost contact between them.
Oh, what a save there from Maunakasa. That was unbelievable. He had to avoid one of the Team America cars off on the gravel there. That would have been Vinzu, as you said. Now there's a nice bit of gap ahead of Maunakasa, so he can bide his time. Oh, he's been rammed in the rear.
And that's Yoni Katia. Frank is involved there. Mandula moves through for Race Green Autosport. Yes Motorsport, Trespasser and World Class Lions Boz side by side behind Maunakasa now as we run up to turn 7 across the first split for the first time in race number 2.
Pedro out once again.
We've lost.
Oh, Frank and Vinzu.
Oh my goodness me.
Crashing each other on the straight, it looked like.
Meanwhile,
Not
out
sure
front,
what have happened.
Michael leads Scattle almost the way it started. Then the other Catilla, Eyre Catilla, in P3. Then it's MRC Mega, great start in P4. Then we've got a battle going on between Yes Unite Texas and Born to Race Twin. Here Texas on the outside of, on the inside of Twin. And who's that behind? That's Rocky, looking to get into the mix there. And now Race Green's Magic is all over the back there. It looks like all the cars are 2 abreast going through this final sector.
And it's going to continue that way as well. Jaban all over the back of Rocky 7 up now as Pekka Koivunen into the back of Jaban now into the right-hander of turn 15.
We've got an absolute
Jaban.
carnage ahead.
Huge carnage.
That's Kid sideways, blocking the road. Jaban off on the grass. 2 World Class Lines cars there as well. And who's that feeding their way through? No, sorry, the car off wasn't Jaban. It was Frank for Team Up Racing.
Well, I'll tell you something, gents. Maunakasa started down in P26 and come the end of Sector 1, roughly where about turn 7 is. He was up at least 3 positions, but because of the carnage we saw at turn 15, Maunakasa's gone from 23rd position to 14th, and potentially 12 once we get to turn 1. So he's 3 wide across the line.
Maunakasa through the middle.
Take it away, Thilo.
Whoa, into turn 1, passing both Mandula and Reject. And positioning the car right there where it needs to be for the quick chicane.
Yeah, I didn't think Mandula was going to give it up there.
But an incredible move.
So he's already passed half the field, and we're only on lap 2. Let's see how much further he can go, as he's got a car off in the gravel
Yeah,
ahead of
that's
him.
Gavin Pete.
Yeah, he's gaining on the back of Gavin Pete as we approach turn 6. Is he going to make the move now? He looks towards the inside, potentially just getting a better bearing for that turn in on the power nice and early though. Of course, both FXRs very great on traction out of turn 6. They run almost in parallel as Manacasa checks up a bit, not wanting to attack into turn 7. Of course, really only is one race in line and it's almost flat out in race conditions, so potentially saving a move for later on in the lap. As you can see, he looks to the left hand side of Gavin Pete as Ayub does the same to Rocky 7 up through turn number 8 now.
Look at
Manacasa
Mandula.
up to P11, but Mandula coming up the inside of Gavin Pete now for P12. They still run side by side through the chicane. Gavin Pete will have the inside line for the right-hander coming up just next if he can stay alongside. Doesn't look like it. Gavin Pete backs out of it. So Mandula up to P12. Manacasa right on the back of Rocky 7 up and also chasing down Ayub as we approach turn number 13. The left-hander at the end of this little straight after the kink cross split 2 for the second time. Manacasa trying it around the outside as Rocky 7 up takes too much curb on the inside. Lifts that inside front and over it goes. Manacasa up to P10 now.
And Mandula's joined him again. So Mandula's made quick work of the traffic and is all over the back of Manacasa again. And Trespasser's looking to get past Gavin Pete now too.
Yeah, Mandula will be feeling a lot better about this race because he's got a fresh car.
Yeah, he's about where he
Pretty
finished the
healthy
last
so
race, even though he was involved in that incident at the beginning. So decent start for both Manacasa and Mandula, but Manacasa obviously with the better start, already in the top 10. It's all going off in the mid-pack. Michael already on to lap number 3 down at turn 1. Scattle following him through. Eyre very close now with the fastest lap to Scattle. Then it's Unite, followed by Master Race Cars Mega, who's got Twin for company. Then it's Texas, Magic, Ayub, and Manacasa in the top 10.
Just look at the fastest lap time at 2 minutes 25. Manukasa, when he was racing away in the first round today, he was setting 22s at the end.
Yeah, so initially the fastest lap that we saw at the end of lap number 2 came from Yari Katila in P3, and then it was beaten by Upsas with a 25.39, currently down in P15, 7 positions up from where he started, but Manacasa still remains the highest climber of anybody, gaining 16 positions in just over 2 laps. Of course, we're on the start of lap number 3 now. He finds himself in 10th position. You can see looking back at the race green car of Mandula as we approach turn number 7. Look at the speed.
What a run.
Manacasa's just able to carry through there, make short work of Ayub before we even reach the braking zone as we've got a car off
That's
there
Twin.
on the right. That's Born to Race's Twin. He's going to lose out on a handful of positions. So Manacasa, like Pete said just then, up to 8th position. But Mandula, Gavin Pete and Ayub, this is getting personal between these gents.
Unbelievable. Mandula lost
Reject
4
makes
places
his way
there.
past as well. And Upsas is going to try and get past Mandula as we approach the right-hander of turn 11. So Mandula regrettably losing out on about 5 or 6 positions just there. He would have been right behind Manacasa. But it's not over yet. Side by side now through turn 13. Yeah. Mandula on the outside, Upsas on the inside. Mandula with the added benefit of the traction in that FXR, just able to get on the power very early out of these slow speed corners and take the position back.
It's getting close between Gavin Pete and Trespasser as Trespasser runs onto the grass, hits the wall, and Gavin Pete gets through along with basically everybody who was in that battle. Almost collector's team racing driver there. Gavin Pete up to 10th.
And Japan very, very close there.
Oh, Mega's had an incident. Very, very slow heading into this corner here, but Maunacasa's somehow got through as well. Up to P7 as we head on to lap number 4. Yes, Unite with the fastest lap now.
Yeah, that's probably going to be taken away by Manacasa.
There we go.
The 24s, a very low 24 as well. Takes the fastest lap away from Yes Motorsport Unite by well over a second. So Manacasa up into P7 now with a 2 minute 24.21, 1.1 seconds faster than anybody else on track right now.
Yeah, the next
Mega
car
joins. Oh, Michael loses it from the lead. Scuttle it in first position now.
Oh, here we go. Now we've got the Yari Katila up to P2. Oh, Unite! Oh, that ping absolutely tanked into Michael there. And Unite joins the spectators.
Yeah. No, he lost the connection.
Lost connection. Okay, so disaster for the front runners here. Michael from P1 down to P3, and with an unfortunate clout from Yes United as his connection was just being unstable. That promotes Maunakasa to 6th place now. And yeah, he's all over the back of race greens. Magic, as we head through the chicane, gets a great run. Timed it to perfection. He moves to the inside for the braking zone before the beach section. Magic runs a bit wide. Maunakasa on the left and through. Great move there for the veteran. Mandula's back in the top 10 as he's got FZRs for company as they all jump over the curbs, and that is Upsas, who did hold the fastest lap of the race temporarily, who gets back past.
Yeah, and of course, whenever these two want to run too wide through corners where there is only one race in line, Mandula's going to benefit from that. You can see he's potentially going to overtake both of these on the run down to turn 13, but this time it's Upsas on the outside of turn 13, gets the traction, and Mandula slots just ahead of Jaban, who's getting all over the back of Reject there. There's a battle going on even further as a side by side for P11 or 12.
Yeah, that's P11
15
and
now.
P12. Yeah, Trespasser ahead of Jaban. Great stuff. Bit of a shaky start, wasn't it, to this race, as Maunakasa now in P5 looks to get past Master Race Car's Michael as soon as he can to try and edge his way closer to the podium. He can see the podium places now, and we are halfway through this second race. What a crazy race it's been so far. 4 laps remain. Maunakasa on a charge.
The gap between the lead and Maunakasa last time around was about 9 seconds. It's now 6.7, so there's every possibility Maunakasa can win race 2 if he just hits his mark. But Trespasser, the man in P number 11, fastest lap of the race, into the 23s now. So he improves on Maunakasa's fastest lap by about 4 tenths, setting a 23.77 last time around. The man in 11th place, currently behind race green Mandula, but nowhere near to make a move just yet.
Fascinating stuff as we head into the second part of this race. It's remarkable considering the amount of chaos that happened, that Maunakasa has somehow managed to not only get through it all unscathed, he had a bit of a scare, didn't he, in the braking zone. He was nearly facing the wrong way round, and now look at him, all over the back of Master Race Car Michael.
Yeah, it looks like Michael's got a little bit of damage as well, so be curious to see how both of these take turn 7, but Maunakasa very aggressive with those curbage, and you can see just how much that unsettled the car. He did very well to keep the rear out.
Oh, there's been a huge accident behind.
That's upside down.
Kid has rolled it in a battle with Frank. Sorry to interrupt, Jack, but that was incredible. Kid has to bail on his race there.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal for him.
So Maunakasa now on the back of Michael.
Yeah, from Maunakasa to the lead, still around about 6.5 seconds, so he has it all to do still. There's just over 3 laps remaining in this race. As Michael runs wide through the right-hander of 15, Maunakasa looking towards the outside, backs out of it at the last minute, looking for potentially the switch back if you can.
He's got it.
Make Michael run wide, but again Maunakasa is going to be on the outside for the right-hander of turn 18 as we approach now. It's just about who's later on the brakes and more committed.
What a move.
Maunakasa, just every confidence in that car, and Gavin Peake gets past Master Race Car's Michael 2 there in the background. So Maunakasa now up into P4 as we complete lap 5 of 8. So of course now starting lap 6, and then we've got lap 7 and 8, so 3 full racing laps for Maunakasa to bring that gap to the lead down, which is now just over 7 seconds. I think a podium is definitely on the cards for Maunakasa, but if he's going to get anywhere near the lead of this race, he needs 2 things. He needs 1, not to put a foot wrong for the rest of this race, and 2, a potential mistake from your race leader at the moment is born to race as Scattle.
Yeah, Maunakasa's got quite a gap to close down in the 3 laps that remain to Texas, but we saw how quickly he closed down everybody else, and who knows what will happen up at the front, because Yarikatila is closing in on Scattle.
Yeah, he definitely needs to get around Texas quickly and ideally also around Katia quickly. We saw him being able to do about 2 seconds faster than Skettle, Katia, and Texas can do on their own. So it might still be.
So we've got a battle now for P13 Japan, just behind the Born to Race car of Reject there, but yes, Motorsports Upsas trying to get involved as there was a slow car off to the right there, but Japan on the outside now for the left-hander of 8. Upsas trying to switch back makes it work, so Reject potentially down 2 positions if he can't fend off Upsas around the outside, which he's unable to do now, through the chicane just before the kink of 10. And Born to Race Reject now down in P13 as Upsas and Japan make their way into 13th and 12th and 11th respectively.
Awesome stuff from the field here, and Ayub now sizing up the back of Michael. So Michael, who was leading this race, take it away, Jack.
He was also struggling at this point last time around, running wide, and Manakasa taking the opportunity to get past Michael. Looks like he can keep it on the track at least this time around through 17 as we approach turn 18 now, the sharp right-hander. And again, it's all about commitment there. There's quite a bit of runoff on the outside where the white line rests on the track, but of course you go a millimetre over that and you're straight on the grass. So it's risk versus reward, as you can see the drivers attacking that left-hand curve of turn 21 now. Slightly missing out on the apex of the right-hander, but again it's the fastest way to get around here is Manakasa. I think that's what that wow was for, Thilo, am I right? Because I was
trying to work it out.
Exactly
I was like, what's happened?
The same reaction. Just blowing the fastest lap out of the water. So the fastest lap just before was a 23.77 set by Yes Motorsports Trespasser just a few laps ago. Manakasa last time around a 22.91, over 8 tenths faster.
Yeah, and also compare him to the cars in front of him. Texas did a 25.01. So 2.2 seconds there on the last lap.
Look at the gap between
Manakasa
and
the 3 cars that are ahead of him right now, because Born to Race Scattle last time around did a 26.2.
Manakasa needs to get past Texas before the chicane. Ideally, I don't think it's going to happen, but he's in touching distance of the front of this group.
Manakasa can win this race. I will say that Manakasa can win this race. The gap was over 7 seconds last time around. It's now just over 2. He has somehow found 5 seconds in a lap and a half,
ridiculous.
and we still have half of the remainder of lap 7 and the whole entirety of lap 8. So if Manakasa can get round Texas before turn 17. And we're approaching turn number 11 now, I think he can win this race 100%.
Wow. Texas has put up a pretty good defence. He's been 4 or 5 corners, and Manakasa not able to get past just yet, and he's not close enough for the braking zone into turn 13. So he'll have to do it on the bridge or in the final sector.
Yeah, but Texas, meanwhile, is no slouch at the moment. He's faster than Yoni and Born to Race Scattle, who are both in P2.
Oh, Trespasser and Michael contact.
Texas,
sorry, carry on, Jack.
The rear end of Texas's car, at least through 14, just not wanting to behave. Through the left-hander of 16 now, Manakasa, arguably the closest he's been to the back of Born to Race. To Team Racing's Texas, who is in effect catching up to the Born to Race car in the lead at the moment. But Manakasa definitely waiting. He knows he can see the leaders ahead. Doesn't need to make the move just yet. He's got a full lap to himself to get past, but he needs to get past Texas now.
Yeah,
hopefully into turn number 1 if you can get the move made there. Texas took a bit of the right-hand curb through turn 21, so that hindered his run down the start-finish straight, but you can see Texas choosing to take the tightest line around the inside. Manakasa having to do all the hard work.
Yeah, this is a good defence.
For the late apex, can't get the traction down, but again the gap to the lead is 2.38 seconds, and Manakasa still the fastest in the top 5.
He's running out of corners. Texas has done everything he needs to do to hold on to this podium so far. He's held him up for almost an entire lap, just a couple of corners to go, and it will be a full lap. But a bit of a dodgy couple of corners there for Texas. Manakasa hits the wall, but will he have the run? It looks like it. Which way will he go? He moves to the inside, heavy on the brakes. Can Texas hold on? Bit of contact.
And there's contact between the two. That was not the kindest of manoeuvres from Manakasa there, but Texas luckily will hopefully retain onto P number 4 as Gavin Pete is behind him. But But Manacasa now, 1.83 seconds is the gap to the race lead, 1.25 is the gap to P2. He's going to make up around about a second of that just from the turn 7 chicane that he's just able to take almost flat out. Look how close he's got to the back of Jari Katia's car, the number 4 World Class Line car, currently sat in P number 2. Manacasa can win this race. He's got from now, which is turn 10, until turn 21, the start-finish line, to get this done.
I mean,
but let's ride on board with Manacasa. Let's see what he's seeing right now in the driver's seat of that number 89 machine. Winner of race number 1, fastest in all 3 of the 4 sectors. Well, sorry, no, all 4 of 4 sectors, and the fastest lap from race number 1 for good measure. Can he do the same? The gap now to the lead, 0.8 of a second, 0.3 to P2. Go through the left-hander of turn 14 across split number 3. There's 7 corners to go through turn 15. The gap 0.8 again. Who can carry more speed? Born to Race Scattle must be on the edge of his seat right now, but Manacasa running out of time, approaching turn 18.
He's fired up, isn't he? Look how close the top 3 are on the final lap. Unbelievable. Manacasa is going to have the run on Jari Katiila around the outside. This is going to go down to the wire, gents. But he had to back out of it. Sensible. Scattle will have this win. And, yeah, well deserved. Jari Katiila will be closing the slipstream. But well done there to Born to Race Scattle to hold off the charging car of Jari Katiila and Manacasa. Team at Racing's Texas crosses the line in P4. Gavin Pete P5, then it's close. Trespasser Ayub Joni Katiila in P8, then Michael followed very closely by Upsas and Mandula. Born to Race Reject in P12. Next across the line, it's World Class Line's Pekka Koivunen. And then we have a bit of a wait for the rest of the cars as Magic for Race Green crosses the line in P14. Frank in P15 after being spun around on the big incident that happened very early on in the race. It seems like an age ago after all the action that we've just seen. Then World Class Lions Team Soini in P16. And yeah, are we waiting for anyone else? Is there anyone struggling around?
There are still 3 cars coming around the track.
Buzz. Yeah, so we're currently just waiting on Team Racing Japan in P16. Race Green Autosports Redbot in 17th and World Class Lions Buzz. But just to not necessarily put it into context, but Born to Race Scattle and Jari Katiila's race pace there, their fastest laps were both mid to low 25s. And not to take anything away from those chaps, Manacasa is in the 22s.
The only one in
just
the 22s.
Shows, yeah, and one of only 3 drivers out of the entire field to set a lap below a 24.
There's Redbot crossing the line in P18, and finally, World Class Lions Boz crosses the line in P19. I think that concludes it, doesn't it? That's all of the cars that were out there. Well, that was exciting. It was a bit too messy for my liking at the beginning. This track is quite thin, and you've got to be a bit considerate in the GT2s. But there we have it. The results of race number 2 of round 30 of the Team at Racing 2020 Championship. Thilo, do you want to run us down the full order?
So Born to Race Scattle wins this race just in front of World Class Lions Jari Katiila. 3rd position, our race 1 winner Manacasa. 4th position, Texas, followed by his teammate Gavin Pete. Then Trespasser in 6th. 7th, Born to Race Ayub. 8th, World Class Lions Joni Katiila. So he is, apart from Manacasa, one of the best to get through the field here today, which also shows the difference between Manacasa and the rest of the grid.
Yeah, Joni Katiila climbing 16 positions in that race. And Gavin Pete climbing 18 as well.
In 9th position, Master Race Cars Michael. 10th, Upsas for Yes Motorsports. 11th, Race Green Autosports Mandula. He's followed by Born to Race's Reject. 13th position, World Class Lions Pekka Koivunen. Magic for Race Green Autosports in 14th. Then it's Frank for Team Rock Racing. 16th, World Class Lions, Team Mussolini. 17th, Japan for Team Rock Racing, who had, well, a very, very unlucky day. The only thing that was good about this event, he scored points compared to Nico Pontola. 18th position, Race Green's Redbot, and 19th and final finisher, World Class Lions Boss. So we lost 10 cars in the second race.
I was just about to say, there's a lot more non-finishers in this race, which is understandable. Reverse grid racing, especially in sprint race format, where everyone needs to get a move on, people are less patient, and we end up with a lot of incidents, but there we go. Another entertaining race in the Team Racing Championship. If you fancy getting involved in all of that, you can do on the Live for Speed forum in the Team Racing Championship 2020 subsection. Don't forget that any drivers are welcome to join the Sim Broadcasts TeamSpeak to have post-race interviews at ts.simbroadcasts.tv. Anyway, gents, where are we at next time? We are at Westhill International Reversed in the Formula V8. That'll be next Tuesday, the 25th of August at 7 o'clock UTC. 20 minutes of qualifying, 2 13-lap races. Not going to be one to miss. Definitely not into turn 1.
No, I think the first whole well, I mean, Westhill, I think it's built for these kind of cars, so yeah, something to look forward to, of course, on the 25th next time around.
Yeah, plus the F08, a very, very, very nice car, very fun to drive, very strange to set up, but still, that's going to be interesting.
Interesting is the word indeed. After that, on Sunday the 30th of August at 4:30 UTC, we have the finale of OEC Season 5, that's the Open Endurance Cup, from Blackwood Historic Reverse. There's still time to sign up a team, am I right, Thilo?
Yes, there is, pretty much until just before the start of the race, if I see the sign up. But it's going to be interesting also for spectators, because the championship is very much on the line and pretty much a head-to-head battle going into the final round.
Yeah, we saw the highlights a moment ago. It's important to note that Laszlo Kovac and Toga for LFS Hungary have taken the win in the LRF class, but there's still the championship on offer for the NGT class, so that's not going to be one to miss. That'll be Sunday the 30th of August at 4:30 here on simbroadcasts.tv. Then on the 1st of September, we return to the Team Racing Championship for round 32 at Aston Club Reversed in the XFR. All that's left to say is thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Thilo Falkenberg and Jack Eyre for joining me in the commentary box, and to Elmo, who was feeding us information in our ear. From all of us in the Sim Broadcast commentary booth, thank you, and we'll leave you with the race highlights from round 3 of the Open Endurance Cup. See you next week. Good night.